It's Max, Tico, and special guests Robin and Quentin from Parrot SOS. So we're going to have a really, really special live stream today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, yeah, everyone's joining us. I see them in the chat.
Max is excited.
Quinn, are you excited?
Oh, Max is definitely excited. I think Quinn is too. So Max, while we're getting started, would you like a few grapes, maybe? I can get you some grapes. Oh yeah. It's up to you. Do you want a grape, Tico? Oops.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome.
Sure. Would you like a grape? No grapes for you. What about you? No, we're not going for grapes because they both saw what I was preparing. So we're going to get started with a little bit of lunch. Now look at that body language.
Ooh, he's leaning forward. He's got his eyes right on you. He is opening his mouth to take that, please.
You want?
Yum.
Look at a good grab.
That is a good grab. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that means I need to go get something for Quentin. He looks a little jealous, so hold on.
Quentin next too. Hey, everybody. I see Katie. I see Kane and Sharon. Sharon and Raising Kane are one of the moderators on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. I see Einstein's here. Tango, Suzanne, Michelle. Oh, that's Paul's here. Look at everybody joining us. Karen says it's in England. Marco. The flock is all here.
All right.
We have some snacks
We've got
for you.
apple. You want an apple?
Oh boy, Quentin. What you got? Is that good? So Tico just dropped his egg, and I think he did that on purpose. I'm just gonna reach for it. Tico, I know it's good, but I'd like you to eat it up on camera, okay?
Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Carrie. Yay, Quentin's here.
Yeah, so we've got a special guest today, Robin from Parrot SOS. Robin is actually, we know her in person as well. We're very fortunate that she is another Calgarian. She's part of the Calgary Parrot Club, and I know you've seen her on some of our videos before, but she is the expert. Robin, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what Parrot SOS is and why I'm calling you the expert in parrot communication?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Robin. I'm from Parrot SOS. Parrot SOS is a learning platform for everyone. If you have a parrot and you want to learn how to interact with your parrot, teach them skills, or even overcome problem behaviors, we're the place for you. We have online classes. You can log in anytime and take them. We have classes for step up, and we have classes for biting and screaming. We have taming classes. We have tricks classes. We have things like how to sprout, because you may need a little extra help with sprouting. It's tricky. We have over 25 classes online right now you can take anytime. We also offer coaching, one-on-one coaching. So I am a certified pet bird trainer, knowledge assessed, through the International Association of Avian Trainers and Educators. It's a lot of words. It means I've taken an exam, and it's a science-based exam. That means I know a little bit about how animals learn, and I can prove it to a large board. It was a big exam. It is an international accreditation. Super proud to be able to offer that for all of you guys. Now you know that what I'm teaching is based on years of research and learning and education, and I am constantly updating my own knowledge so I can give you guys the best information. I want to make sure that you guys all know that I love birds. I love teaching. And if you have any questions, today's the day you can ask. I'm here for you guys.
Yeah, I've got Parrot SOS's website on the screen right now. But don't worry, we'll share that out again later. Really encourage you to check out Robin, but don't go away. We've got lots of fun. Right now, the flock is having some snacks, and I'm always really curious. You know, I know what I see when I see the flock eating snacks. What are you seeing here, Robin?
I love watching bird body language. I think I could learn about body language forever. And some people may be saying, oh, but you've been doing that, you're certified. I know, it's that interesting. So when I'm looking at body language, I am looking at the entire bird. We'll look at their feathers for sure, but I'm also going to look at all the body parts. Where are their eyes looking? If you can see Max on your screen right now, he's really focusing both his eyeballs on the thing that's in his foot. He's super intent on it. He's not looking around the room. Well, there he is. Now he's looking around the room. You can see a lot of what Max is interested in by watching where his eyes are going. He is very expressive eyes. Oh, that egg is done, Mom.
There might be some grapes, so.
Time for grapes. Great body language use, Max. Thank you for being a wonderful model. We can really see your eyes focusing on that item right in front of your beak. Later on, if there are any interesting body language cues, I will stop everything and I'll point them out because Max is so good at saying what he needs to say with his body position, with his feathers, with his feet, with his eyes. It's really, really interesting.
As a parrot owner, I mean, I've had Tico for 28 years. I've had Max for 19 years. Max is now 29 years young, of course. But I mean, I look at the body language and I cannot tell you what I'm looking at. I just know when I glance, I know what the bird is saying to me. And I think that's probably the case with a lot of us. We're not really mindful about how we know. We just know how to understand and read our birds. Like, you know, there's some things that are pretty obvious, such as I'm pissed off, start bleeding. But
that's a good one to know. Yep, start with the big ones.
But I think we really do learn that, but we're never quite as mindful. So I think it's really fun when I hear these things called out, because even though I've had birds my entire adult life, I've got a great sampling. I know what my birds are telling me. I've always found Tico a little bit easier to read than Max, and I'll tell you why. His eyes. African gray eyes are lighter colored. They're gray when they're green.
That ring,
Brown when they're light yellowish brown when they're a little older, but you can see the eyes flashing. You can watch the pupils. With Max, he just has these big black pools. There's pupils in there, but you just can't see them. So you have to kind of rely on a few different cues there. But with grays, I've always found the eyes are the first thing I look at. The eyes are the window to the soul.
Yeah, they are. Some species have that really colorful iris and some species don't. They have that black iris and it doesn't change their expression. It changes how you can see them. So if you have something like, let's say, a Senegal parrot with those bright orange irises, you can really see when they're flashing and pinning. Or maybe like Max, they're dark in color. Also cockatiels have a very dark eye and iris. So yeah, eyes are a really fun one to learn and to see what's in your parrot, but you might have a species where it's easier to see something else. You know what I do, what I teach first, the very first thing, if you've never had birds in your life, if you want to interact with birds, the very first thing I teach is not to watch the feathers and it's not to watch the eyes. Does anyone in the chat want to know what I teach first?
Let's get some guesses up in the chat. And see if
Yeah,
anybody,
let's see if anyone can guess. The very first thing I teach everybody, every human, to look for in bird body language.
So this has got to be obvious enough for us dumb humans to figure out.
We're starting to get a few coming in on the chat.
It's something that is pretty, it's easy to spot. You don't have to be an expert to spot it.
We have someone, Sarah says feet. Paul and Carrie say beak. That's an interesting one. The beak so they won't bite you. Interesting. Okay, yeah. Pointing or reaching for something. Oh, really good body language cues. Maybe the way they're standing. These are all excellent body. Well, bye, Tico.
The big slide.
Tico's like, I need to go eat my eggies. Hold on, body language. Puffing up feathers, watching the poop. These are all excellent body language things to look at.
Yeah,
and I want you to all know that all of those are in there. They're all important. The very first thing I teach, there it is. Barbara gave it away. Their foot stance. So someone earlier said feet. Yes, their stance. The easiest thing to see are their feet. You don't have to worry about feathers puffing or slicking or which part of the body. Just look at their little feet because they've got 2 toes on their front. You can see Max is standing on 1 foot, so he's got those 2 toes. If they're super comfortable, their feet will be really nice and close together. The less comfortable they are, the wider that foot stance gets. So if their feet are holding on really widely on the perch, that means they're holding on tighter. They're ready. Like if a big wind was going to come along, they wouldn't be blown off. So if you're walking up to your bird and they're sitting all nice and comfortable, great, keep going. But if you walk up to your bird and their feet suddenly go boom, boom, they're less comfortable. Really easy to see, and every bird will show it.
Yeah, I'm going to see a bird standing on 1 foot with his foot curled up, taking a nap if he's uncomfortable.
Right? Yeah, we see that a lot. They're really comfy. They sit on 1 foot. They're fluffy and they're really, really comfortable. So that's even more close together, isn't it?
You know what I love here? We've got our friend Einstein here. I'm just going to highlight Einstein's comment. Now, Einstein, Marcia from Einstein, thanks for joining us today. Marcia has had Einstein for 25 years now. And, I mean, anybody would say that she understands birds. She understands birds. Like, she's a lifetime bird owner. But what I love is that we all have something new that we can learn. It doesn't matter how long we've had birds. So,
there's so much. I so agree. And I like that we can all learn from each other, and we're here to learn. So yeah, I saw that question too. Put that back up on the screen.
Oh, I think sure can.
I think that's a wonderful question. Beak clicking. Great question, Barbara. Do your birds beak click there, Nicole? Does Max and Tico beak click?
They do. Max is more likely to, but sometimes he's making music. One thing I love hearing is I'll be upstairs and I will hear his beak going click, 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 and exactly what he's doing. Now, he's not beak clicking to communicate. He's beak clicking in his water himself a spray shower. And I just have to go downstairs to make sure there's enough paper so that I don't flood out the floor, because he can empty his water bowl in a few minutes. But he also sometimes sits and just clicks, sometimes when we're outside, sometimes when we're just hanging out. So what exactly does that mean when he's not using it for a shower or for some purpose of that?
That's a really good question. And a lot of these body language questions turn into a context question. What is he doing at that point in time? What's happening when that beak clicking is happening? Sometimes a beat click is actually more of a beat grind, where they've got sort of the grindy noises. Often that's happening at a time where they're comfortable, fluffed up, maybe almost asleep. So that would be a different form of beat clicking than what Max is doing in his water. There's also some species-specific things. Cockatoos, so Max and his other cockatoo cousins, are more likely to do that type of beat click because that's in their species.
Does that include the cockatiels as well, Robin?
It does, yes. Good question. Every species will have their own species-specific behavior, so it does look a little different in cockatiels, but they'll still do the clicking noise, which is different. I don't know if Tico is different, but Quentin does a single click in a different context. So his beat click goes, and that's it.
Yeah, Tico sometimes does that, and one context that we see Tico doing it in, and I don't know if this is a weird thing or not, but I'll give him a treat or something he wants, and he'll just give me a single click. It's almost to say, "Ta, thank you."
The single click is more of an African gray species thing. So this is where I really want everyone to take their bird as an individual. We can give you some generic, usual things, but if your bird does it a little differently based on that context, that's totally fine. Or if your bird does it in a context you're not quite sure of, you can always ask. I'm happy to answer those questions. You can email me or go to the website. Say, hey, my bird is clicking in this scenario. What might that mean? And we'll take it apart, we'll dissect it. So when Quentin does his single click, it's actually in the context of not super happy, I don't want that, thank you. He would be clicking to have more distance between himself and the object.
Whereas Tico sometimes will use it to say thank you or acknowledge something that he wants. Maybe he's telling you, go away now, I've got what I want.
It's so interesting. They are all really, really different.
Oh, absolutely. We've got another question here from Clint asking, what does it mean when you see the feathers puff out? And that's certainly something you see with Max. You see the fluffing chops. You sometimes see him just get big
puffy Max, yeah. So right now, Max's puff is a great question because feathers are very, very expressive and they can move them, right? So they're going to be able to use them as language to be able to say things, to communicate with you. So I just wanted to point out Max's very nice, relaxed body language right now. I can see his feet are relaxed on the perch. They're not gripping tightly. They're very nice and close together, which indicates comfortable. His body feathers are neutral, so they're not slicked in super tight, but they're also not very wide and puffed. His wings are also neutral where they're hanging by his body. He has no neck, so I would say he's pretty comfortable there as well, but his crest isn't up. It's down with his head. So I'd say Max is looking very comfortable right now. When he puffs up, and I've all seen it on Max's live streams, sometimes he is going to then do his loud vocalization. Rah, rah, rah. We love it when Max sings like that. That could be excitement. It could be alarm. It could be joy. I don't know because I can't see inside his head. I don't feel what he's feeling, but I can see feathers fluffed very far out, crest up, head swinging around. And I'd be really interested to look at his feet. He's probably holding on a little tighter too.
So, sometimes Max gets really excited when we start playing catch. So I'm going to grab a couple of toys. Max, do you want to play a game of catch, honey? Let me just put some paper down.
There goes the crest.
You want to play
and
catch?
the head. Feathers.
Let's play catch. Where are all your toys, buddy? I swear you had toys over here a minute ago. Oh, boy. You want to play? You want to play? Okay. We got a cup. Want to catch? Oops. Oh, that one's not going for you today. How about this? Whee! There you go.
Max is playing.
Yeah!
Yay, Max! Yay, Max! You're playing. Good boy. Where's my other apple? There's my other. Do you want more apple?
Is that fun, Max? Catch.
Good job, Max.
Oh, toss it right to me. Thank you, honey. Oops.
Yay, Max!
That was kind of fun, wasn't it, Max?
We can see from his body language, those feathers were puffed and excited. He was catching the items. Notice his feet are an extra little bit wider right now. It's not uncomfortable. He just needed the grip. He needed to hold on.
Yeah, he doesn't want to lean over too far and suddenly find himself going for a flop.
Yeah, no flops. He knows how to flop. So there was another great question back a little bit. How do I get my bird to play with his toys?
Oh, I saw that one, and that is such a good question from Helen.
Good question. Again, every bird's an individual. You'll hear me say that again and again. I'm always going to repeat it because every bird is different, just like us humans are different. So your favorite toy is going to be different than my favorite toy, and it'll be different than Max's favorite toy. So we really need to look at what the bird wants to interact with.
You want to come up?
Max is good. Are you good, Max?
You don't want to come sit with me? Because I thought we could go sit and talk to Robin on the computer.
Not yet?
No.
Soon.
No.
Okay, soon. We're going to have to see what the bird likes to play with. Some birds like Max like those rings or toys he can throw. Some birds like paper. Some birds like bells that make a lot of noise. For Max, it's the throwing ability. I love it. But also, your bird is going to be different again. I like to start where your bird is and slowly build the skill of play. So my first question to you is, what do they already engage with? Do they play with the string on your sweater? Do they play with the Kleenex box? Are they interested in the pen on your table? What sort of things are they engaging with in your environment already? Then we can make a parrot-safe game out of that interaction. From there, we can build and build and build, and each of these little steps helps your bird to know, okay, that's a fun game. I really want to go play with that. If your goal is chewing, we could add that into one of the steps. But really, I just want my bird to be able to engage with something in their environment. We'll just have a video of Max demonstrating. See, you engage with your environment. Just like that. I find a lot of birds like to throw.
Toys that Max is playing with. Some of these ones are called supervised toys. We don't put them in a cage.
Yeah.
Is that fun?
If your bird is like Max and likes to throw things, or like my cockatiels really like to go to the desk and throw everything onto the floor, I like to give them a box of toys to throw. You can look at foot toys, you can look at old toy parts, something that's been disassembled, even plain blocks of wood, and put them in a little toy chest. If they're picking them up and throwing them out of the toy chest, that's the game. That's the very first step to engaging with your environment. But yeah, that's a really good question. The next question I really wanted to answer was actually one I got on a private message through Parrot SOS, and I said I would answer. It's in the same vein. How do I get my bird to eat the foods?
Ooh, that's such a good question.
Right? So I'm going to read it out here. It's from Jocelyn. How to get new cockatiels to try different foods. I bought some branded things, Bird Street Bistro. My late bird Polly loved it. How do I get my new cockatiels to eat it? This is a wonderful question when we're eating new foods. It can be challenging for a bird. They want to be safe and they don't know if that food is safe or is poison. It's hard to tell them, it's okay, it's not poison, you can eat it, because they don't always understand the English. But what we can do is look at ways to introduce that food that would make it feel safer.
Yeah. Thumbs up. You like foods.
You do. So Quentin likes foods, especially if I use my fingers to pretend that I'm eating it. Like this is a beak, and I go into his dish and I pick in his foods. So I'll bring his dish back over here. There we are. So often I'll use my hand like a beak and go in and pretend to eat the foods that he has in his dish. He's got some pellets in there. Ooh, yum. And often that's all he needs to go, oh, if you're eating it, then maybe I can eat it too. Cockatiels are great for watching and pecking. So this can be a really easy way to get your birds interacting with something, either in a dish or on a flat table. You can peck on the table. No, you're not coming over? Yeah, is this yours? Works every time. Another great way of introducing new foods. Oh, am I?
Nope, you're still here. We see you.
Still here? Okay, sorry. I thought I might have frozen. Oh my goodness.
You're good.
Another great way of introducing foods is with familiarity. It's the bowl you usually use. It's in the spot you usually get it, and it's at the time you usually get the foods. With your hand, you can peck. You're used to eating foods. Here is more of the same. What I often see as a problem is you put the food in a bowl, you put the bowl in the cage, and then you walk away. Well, if you're not eating it, why should I eat it?
If you're not eating it, it can't be safe.
Can't be safe, can it? So that's one way of socially helping that model of eating for your bird. Another really cool thing for especially cockatiels is to look for very small seed-like foods to get them interested. So think about quinoa or sprouted seeds. I've even had luck with greens like carrot tops, small little things that they can nibble on, rather than a big piece of banana, which is generally not accepted. So it sometimes has to do with the foods you're offering. Just keep going, give it a try again and again and again. And it might not be the first day and it might not be the 10th day, but they will try it.
One thing I've noticed is I can offer Max, a banana, and he'll say, no, I don't want that. He'll throw it on the floor. And we might be doing a live stream, and I'll just take that banana, I'll put it in his food bowl, and I'll leave it for later. And later on, he's in the mood for bananas. So he's sort of a little bit like us. He's not always in the mood to eat the same stuff. So it's sometimes just like us. No, I don't want banana right now. Till it's time, it's what I really want.
I think that's a great point. Foods are normally eaten in my house, sort of that morning breakfast time and evening dinner time. And so that's when I usually offer the fresh chop, leafy greens, or any of the cooked foods that I do.
I think the other fun thing, I'd love to tell the story of the banana and the birds. I had tried to offer the flock bananas for many, many, many years. I had offered it to Tico in many times, and every single time he put his beak up. Max was not into banana either. And the way that Tico decided he liked banana was over at our friend Sheila's. Sheila's actually the owner of Tico, and I was out of town. And his temporary cage, was in Sheila's kitchen. And he was playing by himself, and she had this lovely self-serve buffet. I don't think she realized it was a self-serve buffet, but it had apples, and it had tomatoes, and it had bananas. Well, being a really good house guest, Tico stepped onto the counter and sampled everything. He took one bite of each tomato, ate through the peel of banana, and decided, oh wait, this is good. Had a bite of each apple. And when Sheila told me about this, I was just killing myself laughing. And all I could say is, at least it wasn't a grandfather clock. Tico had done that at a previous bird sitter's apparently, and it was a very expensive lesson. But, Tico was being really polite, and he discovered that the peel had something to do with the banana. Now, since then, he's been willing to eat bananas, but only if I give it in a peel. I can give a slice in a peel, but if I take it out of the peel, that would be edible. So I think there's some natural behavior on wanting to shell or identifying that there's good parts and bad parts of food.
Whisper. Okay. Sorry, Max.
That was Tico.
Oh, thanks, Tico. I think that's a really good point. If a bird wants to shell it, let them shell it. If they don't eat regular green peas from the freezer, try a pea pod and let them take the peas out themselves. Or if your bird doesn't like the very large pieces, you can try chopping it fine, or even using a cheese grater to make it finer. I've even had good luck with birds and pureed food. So you can try that taste without having to eat the whole item.
But pureed food, it always reminds me of baby bird mush.
Yeah, for sure. We always have to be careful with baby bird mush. It can be good for medications and for a sick bird, but we don't want to encourage any extra nesting or pair bond behaviors. So,
yeah, I find I'll occasionally offer a little bit of mush just for fun. Not all the time, but if I ever need to medicate, it's going to be something that's going to be eagerly accepted and remembers what it is. And go, oh, look what we've got. It's also great if you're trying to make some birdie bread or something.
I love having birdie bread with a little bit of vegetables in it too. That's a really great way to sort of sneak them in there.
Yeah. Sharon from Racing had a really good question, I thought. I'm just going to display it here on screen, hopefully. And she's talking about Kane Gray, and his new thing is to put his foot up like he wants her to pick him up, but then he nips.
Yes. Hi, Kane. African Greys have such expressive faces, and something like a foot up to say that he wants to come to you is wonderful. But I think there might be a miscommunication in there somewhere, because then he does nip you. So I'm going to give you guys a tidbit. We have a whole class on the step up behavior that talks about the 5 parts of a successful step up. If you want to go through the whole class, please do. It's got lots more information, but I'm going to give you the 5 steps here because it's so important to really respect our birds with that step up. And it can be super easy to accidentally have this miscommunication. So I think you're right on, and Kane is saying, yes, I want to come. So the first part of a successful step up is actually that the bird moves towards you. That means that in Max's case, he's not moving much right now. But I'm talking about if your bird was in the cage and you went into the cage to get them, or if your bird's running around and you're going up to them. I want the bird to come to you. So there's no chasing and there's no going into their space. We can talk about that a little bit later. The second part is the indication, like the foot up, Or I know Max does the foot up. Some birds will do a little bit of a lean forward, like their beak is coming forward. That's the I'm about to come. I really want to do the step up right now. So there's your indication. So we don't have moving forward from Max, and we don't have an indication of up, which is fine. So really good that you can ask. And he says, no, thank you, very politely. Thank you, Max. And you just remove your arm. Perfect, 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 perfect. This is part of the choice that we're now giving them. With these 5 parts of step up, they can say no thank you at any point. They can walk away. They can not put their foot up, or they can put a foot on and then step off again. Totally fine. We are never going to push into them, and we're never going to force that step up. We don't have to be the boss of them anymore. We have all of this new research that says, let's work together rather than being the alpha. We don't have to do that. We're human. We're a couple 100 pounds. And Max, I think you're 2 pounds. So let's work on that communication. So the first step is the bird moves towards you. The second part is that indication that they're about to come. That's an eating foot, not a step up foot. The third one is that you're actually going to wait for both feet to be on your hand or arm or finger. Both feet are on before you move. So if you have a hand and your bird is stepping on it, I want both feet to be on before you move your hand. Sometimes what happens is we just get the first one on and we move, and it's a little off balance some days. Especially with larger birds like Max or even Tico, where you really need that extra half a second to get the other foot on. Let's wait for both feet to be on before we move our hand. It's extra trust building. And now Max will know that you're not just going to up and leave if he's only got 1 foot on. 1 foot, 2 foot, up and out. Very well done. Good job, Tico. You're actually doing the 4th step really well. The 4th step is called up and out. So we're going to be careful of their tail and not bump it as we're moving the bird away from where they're perched.
Good job.
Especially longer tailed birds, even cockatiels and conures, but especially macaws. If you're picking up the bird, make really sure that there is an up and out motion so you're not bumping the tail. That tail bump, it's not really a big deal, but if you do it every single time mom bumps my tail, it might lead to a step up refusal in the future. So it's just a really nice thing to do up and out, be conscious of their whole body, crest, wings, tail, and try to move them in a way where they're not bumping into stuff. And then the 5th part is called reinforce. Because we get a really good step up from our birds, and we can then pay them for that work that they just did. They left whatever they were doing. They came to you. They were awesome. They got both feet on. Let's give them something they want or they like. So this could be a nut or a treat. We like to call them yums. You could give them a yum, but you could also give them something else they like. Maybe they like personal attention with you, and you can give them a little cuddle. Maybe they like to look out the window like Tico does. So he can get a step up, and then he can go right to look out the window. So making sure that there is some awesome thing they get for doing that step up behavior.
I find one thing that
we
my
have
flock
5 things. Move towards you, indicate, both feet, up and out, reinforce.
find one thing that really works well on reinforcement, and I don't know if you saw that earlier, but I actually said, good job, Tico. And the verbal and, the head pats, the scritches, it's just part of the, you've done something I want, now I'm going to give you some really good attention.
Yeah. That's really reinforcing for a lot of birds. And I want you to look at your bird again as an individual and go, what does my bird really, really like?
That was a no.
Max is like, no, thanks. I love the way that you ask politely, and I love the way that Max says, no, thank you, really nice and politely. Just so that everybody knows, the way that Max is saying no, thank you politely is by standing really tall, leaving his feathers where he is, and not looking with his eyes at the hand. So Nicole, would you give that step up offer, the cue of step up? So he's standing tall, he's not looking at her hand, and he's basically not moving. This is different than a freeze response. This is an ignore response. So a freeze response is something different. We can talk about freezes. This is an ignore. This is a no, thank you. I don't want to do that right now. And I love that ignore. I think it's a wonderful way of saying no, thank you. Some birds don't have such a polite no, thank you yet. And so what they would do is maybe lunge, possibly run away. Maybe they go into that wide foot stance with their beak open. No, thank you. That's all they're saying.
I think with Max, like there's been years that we've learned how to communicate, and I find I'll offer, and I'm very much about consent. And he may not want something now, but 5 minutes from now he might consent. I will force him up if there's an emergency. If we've got a tornado warning and I've got to run downstairs with them, or sometimes, you know, there's just that emergency that the bird does not have a choice. But I make that the exception, not the rule. And there are ways that I could get Max off of his perch right now, but you know what? He's comfortable. I don't need to, so, you know, we're good. He can hang out there.
Excellent. And I love that you give him that option. It is a really empowering thing for Max to know that you can have a conversation about it. Would you like to step up? No, thank you, not right now. Okay, that's totally fine. Thank you, momager. It's a two-way conversation where you're asking and he's answering and you're respecting that answer. So I love that. And it doesn't have to be in English. It can just be those really simple, would you like to? No, thank you. So really, really good work.
I think sometimes people get bit a lot when they force something and they ignore what the bird says. And the bird just gets frustrated and says, well, you're not listening, so I'm going to make you listen.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Often the lunging and the biting are louder than that subtle standing still or ignoring head. So I love, this is a good comment too. Cami says, I love how much I've learned about the way you care for your birds with the core value of consent. Yeah, that choice is key. I have lots of students in the Parrot SOS school. We have a 0 bite rule. We want to set things up and communicate with our birds in a way that allows for communication, not biting. Because biting is actually a form of communication and it's really loud. So is there a way we could talk together? Subtle body shift, foot stance that is easier to listen to and isn't going to escalate to that bite. How do I set it up so that Max has the choice of being on his stand or leaving if he wants to? How do I do things in this environment so that there's a lot of choice for our birds? This leads me right into the trainer paradox. Has anyone heard of the trainer paradox before? Has to do with consent and choice. Yeah, Tico doesn't like cameras today, that's fine. So the paradox, this is something that I bring up because when we start talking about choice and asking them if they would like to, I often hear, well, my bird would just say no all day long. He would just be like, no, I don't want to step up, so I have to make him. Ironically, that's the paradox. The more choice you give, the more options of escape, the more that you're listening together, the more that he's going to say yes. Because he knows if he doesn't want to, he can just go. That's cool. No problem. I'll just leave. I'll just say no thank you. And you're going to listen to that no thank you every single time. So I don't even have to bite. So the more choice and consent you have, the more yeses you get.
And that is so very, very true. One trick I learned, Robin, and I use this a lot. Whenever we go outside, everybody knows that Max always wears a harness. There's no choice for him. If he wants to go outside, he has to wear a harness. But he also likes to have a choice. And often, if I want to go out, I don't want him to say, I don't want to go, because it might take me 20 tries. So my trick is I will go, and I will literally go grab multiple harnesses. I'm not going to do it now because he'll think we're going out, but I'll grab 2 harnesses and I'll say, which one would you like to wear? Would you like to wear the blue one or the red one? And then he makes a choice. And in making a choice, I've tricked him into agreeing to wear the harness that he picked. He's already said yes.
I think that yes and no are really valuable communication tools. However you want to communicate with your bird is totally fine. I suggest something that's not a bite, but if you need help figuring out how those communications work, what sort of cues you can each give each other, send me an email. I'd love to help.
Yeah. I think the closed choice is sometimes a good one too. The bird has choice, but it's a limited choice. It's sort of like what you might give to a little kid.
Yeah. Yeah, we do the same thing. I'm not going to let my bird Quentin eat junk food. So his choice for snack today was apple or peas in a pod. So we chose the apple. That's fine.
Yeah, but choice still gives him a lot of agency.
Yeah, agency is key for sure. There was another great question in the chat here. Is biting a form of screaming for parrots?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Is biting a form of screaming for parrots? And I love the emojis. I'm an emoji person. I think the way to answer this is with that communication piece. So biting is communicating. Generally, a bite means less hand, more distance, please. However, a scream is still communication. They're trying to say something. They're trying to communicate with you. And the trick is, what are they asking for? What is that screaming trying to say? Are they screaming to say, let me out of the cage? Are they screaming to say, hey, you walked away, you're in a different room, where'd you go? What's the communication that that bird is trying to do? Now, I've never had human children, but it's the same as a human baby crying. There's different cries, there's different communication. And if you're brand new to your human baby, maybe you don't know what each one of those cries mean. So let's look at what that animal needs, what's missing, and what they're asking for. We call it the function of the behavior. So is biting and screaming in the same sort of area? Yeah, absolutely. But more in a communication way.
So I find the screaming discussion an interesting one. I think anybody with cockatoos will say that they do have sometimes a day that they just love to scream. Late evening, definitely. Like if I take Max out for a walk at sunset, he wants to wake up all of my neighbors. And he wants to wake up the dead.
It's loud.
Yeah, and I think that one's sometimes more of a contact call, but he'll even do that inside the house. But it almost seems like it's associated with evening time.
It can be pure joy because they are birds and they are the kings of the jungle. I think there's a lot of not miscommunication, but missed words happening in these screams because they're never going to be quiet forever. They're not silent creatures. They have a voice, but sometimes it gets to be excessive. And that's what I want to address with the screaming course, which is on our website if you need it. That screaming is loud and repetitive and has a function that is missing for that bird. So if the bird is screaming nonstop for 20 minutes, ignoring them is only going to make them scream longer because they're still missing whatever it is that thing is they need. They need out of the cage. They need you to come back into their sight. They need whatever that function is for that vocalization. So that's the piece that people miss. Ignore the screaming, ignore the screaming, ignore the screaming. But it's there for a reason. There's a function to it. So let's figure out what that function is and give that to them. There's a lot to that. So definitely go and look at the course or send me an email. We even offer one-on-one coaching, which is really cool because I can do a full assessment of exactly what's going on in your unique situation. Then I can tailor the plan to exactly what you need. And you don't have to waste time trying things that may or may not work. You don't have to throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. I can do the assessment and make the plan. Sorry, Max, I know you like spaghetti and throwing, but sometimes in behavior, we want a solution.
And that really is true. When I met Max, the people who know his backstory, Max was living in a basement. He had two behaviors. He knew how to bite hard, and he knew how to scream. I didn't think I'd ever be able to handle him. Now, obviously, that's changed. I mean, we put on a harness or how did we go for a walk? He's really developed a relationship. But his screaming, I think when he was living in the basement, when he screamed, that was the only time he got any attention. And I can tell when he gets screaming and when he just loses it, he will scream some of the things that were screamed at him when he was young. And he tells me the story of what was screamed at him. But I think that sometimes it can become that this is the only way I get attention. When I scream, you pay attention to me, I need attention, therefore you're going to reinforce this really bad habit. And Max went from screaming 24/7 to, sometimes he'll lit, and that's okay. He's a bird. Sometimes he just wants to scream for joy. Sometimes he wants to express he's frustrated. Sometimes he's trying to communicate, and being loud's the only way. But I think you can lessen it just by learning what to reward and what not to reward. So there's always that middle place too. When I first met Max, my bird experience was a pair of lovebirds. Let's just hope for crested cockatoo and Tico, who's currently hiding. But I didn't have a lot of experience, and it took me years to build up that relationship with Max. A lot was trial and error. I mean, I probably made every error in the book. Do I think that I would have built that relationship sooner with somebody coaching me? Oh, absolutely. But, so sometimes you can, but, I'll say humans, we don't talk to birds. We're not wild birds. We're not animals. It takes a really long time sometimes to figure it out. And anytime you can get a shortcut, use it. Use it.
I love helping people in that way. Yeah, we've all had moments where we've stumbled through and made it and we're fine. Everything's fine. But wouldn't it be nice to get a coach to just do the things you need to build that trust and get the really solid foundation? Because you're going to be living the rest of your lives together. So let's get that trust and communication and really strong foundation together. And then you've got the rest of your lives to play games and, have fun with some of the other stuff. So if anyone has a brand new bird and needs assistance, whether that is a baby bird from a breeder or a bird they've got from rescue, we have a course for that too. So just take a look and see if something there works for you.
Robin, I love that you brought that up because this is something, I'm not a parrot trainer or anything, but I'm very opinionated. And I talk to people a lot about birds and I say, you know what? go in with your eyes wide open, understand what you're getting into. But I think what I've seen a lot, and maybe this is just my own perspective, but people get a bird. They start off giving the bird all of the attention, and then the bird gets old, and they put the bird on the shelf, and what they actually wanted was a bird, not an actual parrot. And
it's Einstein.
that is.
It is Einstein. I have an Einstein too. We love Einstein.
Oh, we do. Einstein was on the thing earlier. He actually has a new stuffy coming out too. But I think a lot of times we forget, and we don't get that good first basis. Sometimes I think even learning how to start, or how to start in a maintainable fashion, can be important, or how you start that relationship so you don't start with miscommunication, or you don't break the trust. Do you see the same sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to build trust. We want to have that really good relationship. And sometimes the advice on the internet comes from a variety of places, some good, some less good. So I want to make sure that everyone knows I am certified. I can give you the most up-to-date information, the most ethical, least intrusive ways of creating that bond with your bird and making that foundation for the rest of your life to be as positive as possible. We love positive reinforcement training, and we love doing the whole hierarchy of behavior change so that we can make it as easy as possible for your bird to make the right choice. We don't have to butt heads. We can work together on this. We don't have to bite and scream each other. We can work together on this. Yeah.
Exactly. So one thing I do see that I love to chat about for a little bit is we just have so many birds in rescues. I mean, it doesn't matter which country you're in. And I know the rescues got a lot more birds intake when we had COVID and everybody was sort of stuck at home, and they thought, well, this would be fun. Let's get a bird. Let's pay lots of attention. And we see a lot of birds ending up in rescues. I always urge people to adopt rather than shop, because there's so many birds that need a new home. But sometimes they think a bird in a rescue, they're older, they're harder to train, they've got bad habits. What would you say to somebody who's thinking about adopting an older bird, or what are the benefits of it?
Oh, yeah. Great question. Birds in rescue. I work with rescues all over, and I have a really big soft spot for rescues. Quentin is from a rescue. Yay. So is Skeeter. And I work with people around the world. So the rescue birds that I see generally are more like unhoused currently. They can be really wonderful birds. They can do step up. They can come and snuggle. They are just not quite in the right fit of home. And so then they end up at the rescue, and the rescue, all they do is go, this is a really nice bird. Let's find a home where it does fit. And that's the joy of rescue. These birds are not all broken, falling apart, screaming, biting, horrible animals. Sometimes it just wasn't a really good fit. Or sometimes there's other circumstances. Maybe their owner passed away and they just need a new home. Sometimes there's issues, and I'm here to help if you ever have any issues. But I love that the rescue birds are really just good birds. They're all fantastic. In the right home with the right people, it'll fit like a glove. Someone in the comments there says, it's called research. Yes. One of the things we have on the Parrot SOS website, share it everywhere. It's called Do Your Research. It is absolutely free. Share it to everyone you know. It is all the things you ever wanted to tell people about doing their research before they get a bird. It's everything. It's that they're messy and loud, and it's that they need a special diet and a big cage and lots of attention. But it's also not having scented things in your home, being careful of Teflon, making sure that a bird is the right choice for you. And it even has the birdism chart where you can go through and see which species might fit your lifestyle. So if you know anyone thinking about getting a bird and you tell them to do their research, go to our website, give them the link, do your research. It's absolutely free. And we want to make sure that information is out there as much as possible. I think it'll help all birds if we can help the humans be ready for when their bird comes home.
I'm going to share that one out on the socials. I'll also be sharing out Robin's website. I know some people have been asking about that. We've got a couple more minutes. Are there any other burning questions in the chat? Anybody have, let's do a round of quick questions for Robin. Let's see if we can get some 60-second questions. This will be fun. Toss them up.
Rapid fire questions. Let's do it. What is Parrot SOS? Parrot SOS is the name of my company, parrotsos.com. SOS comes from the term like save our souls, SOS, I'm in trouble. But it's also the rescue part of it. SOS, come and help. So if you need to throw up an SOS, I'm here to help. Head over to the website. We have online classes. You can take them anytime you like, 24/7. They're all online. There are pictures and videos and data sheets and all sorts of things in each one. We also have these live streams. Come and join Max and me. We have one-on-one coaching. If you want to get a one-on-one session with me and we can really figure out exactly what's going on. And we have blogs and we have resource pages and all sorts of things. So go check out parrotsos.com. How difficult is it to introduce birds to each other? Medium. It's not always easy and it's not always hard, and it depends totally on the individuals you have. I tell people to grab a random room of birds and tell me which two are going to be BFFs. You can't tell. And you can't tell which ones are going to be enemies. And if I had 30 lovebirds sitting in front of me, I don't know their personalities. So if you have one bird at home and you're thinking about getting a second, plan on 2 cages, plan on 2 play gyms, and plan on 2 of everything. If they get along, that's great. But we don't know. We have to start at neutral because they could be enemies or they could be best friends. So plan on having 2 of everything because they're such individuals. No one can tell who's going to be a BFF.
And that's so true. Right now, our friend, I know somebody who is fostering a really odd couple of birds. And I think you know who I'm referring to as well. So we sometimes see interspecies as well.
And it can depend on species and sometimes not. Someone in the comments said budgies are pretty easy. Budgies are huge flock birds, 100 plus in the wild. So adding or minusing a couple of budgies here and there, it's probably socially easy for budgies once they've passed quarantine and once they're healthy. But other species like Moluccan cockatoos are relatively solitary in the wild. And yes, they do pair up. Obviously, there's mating and raising of young, but may be more difficult to pair up a species that doesn't live in a flock of 1,000. So yeah, it might depend on the species. It could depend on their situation, how they're raised. There's so many complicating factors. So yeah, I know of the couple that's 2 different species that get along, which is great because they're similar sizes.
Yeah.
There's no danger there, but yeah, who knows? Who knows?
So we've got another question here. Barbara asks, and I think she's asking, what are angel wings?
Yes, some bird species will extend their wings, but not fully all the way. So they just sort of open up their wing pits and it looks like they have little angel wings on. Sometimes they're called heart wings. I see this a lot in cockatiels, sometimes lovebirds. Every once in a while, a conure will do heart wings or angel wings. It is part of a courtship display. Usually it's the male bird showing off to the female bird, look how pretty I am. If you only have a single bird, then their courtship is sort of part of just general joy, we could label it. I know my cockatiel likes to do heart wings when he's doing his whistle singing. And then his wings start to go up. Love it. I love seeing it. So.
Yeah, we've got another question here from Tango. Tango says, in the dog world, there's always an alpha, usually a female. How does this work in the bird family?
That's a really good question, Tango. So in the bird world, the flock, if we take a general standard flock, keeping in mind that not all species live in the same flocks like this, like Moluccan cockatoos, like Max. But if we took a general standard flock, let's grab the budgies like we talked about earlier, there's 100 birds. It is socially flexible. And what that means is whoever knows goes to do that. If bird A knows the directions, he'll lead the directions. If bird W knows the water source, he'll go to the water source. If bird Q wants to look out and be a sentry, he'll sit at the top of the sentry. But they'll also all switch those roles depending on what they're doing and how they're doing it. So there's no top bird, there's no top of the mountain alpha in bird flocks. They all do the roles as are necessary. Do you know the way? Then you lead. You do it. And then they'll switch depending on the situation. But I'm also going to throw a little tidbit out there, Tango. I'm going to blow your mind a little bit. The researcher who published the paper on dogs and their alpha packs wrote another paper retracting his own work.
Oh no!
So alphas in dog packs, kind of not a thing as much as we thought. So you get to go and play with that and go and research and grab some more books because we're always learning. And that's what I love about animal behavior is that we can come up with a theory or we can postulate that this is how, let's say dog packs have an alpha and this is how it rolls. But then we keep doing more research and we keep exploring and we keep checking. And then we can go, let's update that. And it doesn't mean that things are wrong or right, but we just learn more. I see that in the bird world a lot. We used to teach, and I used to teach it, to get a step up, push your finger into the bird's tummy. And we don't do that anymore because we learned a little bit more and went, hey, if we push into the tummy, yeah, they step on your finger. But also, I seem to be getting more biting. Like he's saying, no, I don't really want to step on your finger. So do I press harder? How does this work? So we just looked into it deeper, peeled back more layers of the cabbage and saw new things. So yeah, it really excites me, not because we used to do things wrong, but because we can keep going. I'm excited to see what are we doing today that in 10 years I'll go, we don't do that anymore. And here's why. I want to tell you the why. I want to show you that we can get better, even if you've been doing it for 20 years.
Robin, that reminds me so much of the way that I've interacted with my birds. What I did 30 years ago, 25 years ago, 20 years ago, it's not what I do today. I've learned so much, but it's always changing. I just want to interrupt for a minute and just give a quick shout out to a couple of folks. I'm going to give Annie Kirks a shout out. She sent a super chat and she sent a love message saying, thank you for educating the world on birds. I love any opportunity we have to educate them. I love being able to host somebody like Robin. And we've also got one here from Barbara. Barbara sent a super chat, $4.99. She says, thank you for a most informative message, nicely given, Robin and Max. So I want to say thank you to both of you for that. Really, really appreciate. I know a few folks probably sent stars on Facebook, and I'm going to be going in and saying thank you to you also. But just super, super awesome. But I wanted to say thank you so you didn't think you'd gotten missed.
So sweet. Thank you guys so much. You're all wonderful. Great questions.
And I love these. Einstein Stein says, I enjoyed the stream with Robin so much, and I absolutely love that. You know, Robin, I was talking to Marcia yesterday, and we were talking about the stream and how excited we were. And she mentioned to me she has given out your name to a number of folks, and I absolutely love that. So,
Yeah, I love helping. We're a community and we're all learning together. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, and I think one thing, it's so hard for people to find a good resource, and they don't know where to turn. They have questions, and you know, they tend to ask people like Einstein and myself a lot about, you know, their questions. And I know I've had people get upset because I've said, you know, the best person to talk to about this is Parrot SOS. But, you know, or I'll pass them on, but there's a reason I do that. It's because I only know my birds. I don't know yours, and what I'm doing, I probably do things wrong. Like, I learn all the time. I honestly
we all do. Yeah, we all learn. Yeah.
So I really, really wanted to highlight that comment there. Oh my goodness, Tango sent us a super chat as well. Tango says, thanks for the memories. Tango is one of our favorite doggo friends.
Tango, thank you so much.
Love it, love it, love it. You know, oh, thank you, Sharon.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And, you know, I'll be sharing out some references from Robin after this. Make sure that you like and follow her as well. She has a lot of good resources. She does some regular videos, and she is just an absolute wealth. So I'll be sharing some of that stuff out as well, just because I think it is so very, very important.
It really is.
Seeing here.
We're here to help. We're a community, and we love Max, and Max is bringing us all together. So thank you, Max.
Well, you know, I think one of the biggest things that I worry about when I do so much on social media, people see the creative side of things. They see that he's cute. They see that he's fluffy. And I'll occasionally share a video of him just being an absolute stinker, throwing a tantrum, yelling. I've shared some videos about what I think you need to know before. They're noisy, they're messy, they are dusty. And when I say dusty, I mean dusty. They need a lot of attention. And they're not the right bird for everybody. They're really not.
Yeah.
But, you know, I always worry that people watch your videos and say, oh, I want one. And actually that happens when we go out on meetups. Sometimes I've been out with our mutual friend Lori. We've gone to, oh my gosh, I want one. And they look at me oddly when I say, no, you don't. Let me tell you why. Because they think, well, you own one. You must be 100% everybody owning one. But I think that the education is just so important, and talking about how to improve birds' lives and what people need to know and all of that wonderful, wonderful stuff. So I think anytime we can share resources, really, really important. And oh, I love this comment.
I've heard that before.
Sure,
I really wanted to talk it to you.
Until he heard Max. You know, do you remember one of the rescues in Alberta, Mika's birdhouse? A few years ago, they were trying to rehouse a Moluccan. And that poor Moluccan went back multiple times, despite the fact that they screened. And they talked to people, and they made sure that people knew what they were getting into. But do you remember what the problem was with that bird, why he kept getting returned?
No.
He was too noisy. A Moluccan scream, they can outscream a 747 jet engine on takeoff, and I know your husband would appreciate that, but they are loud, and that's something people forget.
Well, and especially that, back to the conversation of function, the Moluccan had been at the rescue. He's in a new house. He doesn't know what's going on. So there's some time to build the relationship and make that foundation. And oh my goodness, Max always wanted a father until he heard hubby. That's so funny. That's so funny. Not gonna laugh? Mwah. So I think especially a bird that is, straight out of rescue, straight into your home, straight off of Kijiji, they don't know how to communicate with you yet. And so they may be using those louder options like loud vocalizing or lunging or biting until you can build those foundations. So yeah, it's a transition. Behavior has function. We got to help the bird in the transition and help the people too. No one likes to hear Moluccan scream for hours. That's not fun.
I put up with it for months.
Yeah, right? It's not fun. I've worked with macaws. They're loud, not Moluccan loud, but yeah. Aw, even my Quaker Bob got rehomed. Aw.
But he's his forever home now, or at least forever home for now. I think that's the other thing that Robin and myself have sometimes talked about. There's sometimes some stigma when people are rehoming birds or deciding that their life has changed. They've made the forever commitment. Maybe they're older, maybe they're moving into a nursing home. That happened with Matilda's owner, and Lori, Matilda's owner, had to move into a nursing home and had to be separated, had to find another home for their flock. So life circumstances do change. It's certainly important to make sure that there's a succession plan, but face it, your kids are not necessarily going to want a bird. They might not be parrot people, they might be, but it's definitely a case of birds needing to find multiple homes sometimes. KT says she's Sparky's third home, and he's had her for 22 years. And I know KT's been worried, what happens when. It's something we talked about before. And there's so many stories here. There are fifth homes, there's third homes, there's multiple homes. Do you want to just talk a little bit about rehoming and, the plans around that?
Rehoming is a great term because, believe it or not, parrots are adaptable. They come to the new house and they go, breakfast is pretty good here. And they fit in over a couple of weeks and months to the new routine and the new people. So if you can make sure that you are a good fit and you will be communicating together, rehome a bird, take it into your life, make it as happy as possible. Again, you are moving on to the next life, whatever that happens to be, and the bird's best interest, the best thing for the bird is to have another home where they can get that mesh. Do it. Rehoming is wonderful. We can find that mesh. We can get them really happy with new people. And yeah, breakfast is pretty good here too. So they are adaptable. I love rehoming older birds. You mentioned it earlier, I forgot to answer, because now your bird doesn't have an 80-year lifespan. They're already part way. So your 40-year-old bird has only got the 40 years left. It can be a really nice option if you yourself maybe don't have the 80 years ahead of you. Adopt an older bird. Seniors are fantastic, and they are wonderful companions, and they fit right in. They mesh really nice.
Yeah, our friend Lori, she adopted Gonzo, and Gonzo was just such a sweet bird. And he was a Timney who was 60 years old when she met him. The oldest Timney that I know, and he was wild caught, so he could have been older than that. But he had been with his first owner for years. His second home he didn't really get along with. And then when he rehomed with Lori, he decided that, this is actually pretty good. I'm okay here. And she gave him he died at 61, which was super sad. But I mean, we knew he was an older bird, but he had the best few years of his life. So even though there was heartbreak, she was able to give him the best gift. She was able to give him the gift of adventure. She was able to give him the gift of love. So I think sometimes that older bird and people worrying about it, it's still a beautiful thing.
It's gorgeous. Those senior birds are just fantastic. My two cockatiels are 22 and 23 years old. They're old men now. Cockatiel lifespan is between 20 and 30, so I can see the arthritis and they're starting to slow down. Senior birds are great. They're fantastic. I think I need more senior birds in my life. They're just so much fun.
I think sometimes they chill out a little bit as they get older.
They do. They chill out a little bit. They sort of been there, got the t-shirt kind of attitude, and they're just happy. They're super happy guys. I love my seniors.
Yeah, and I think that's sometimes something we talked earlier about rehoming and rescues, but sometimes you can find that older bird who needs you as much as you need them, and it can, it can really create a strong bond.
They're wonderful. They really, really are. They are usually just happy to be birds, and I love nothing more than a bird doing bird things. That's what this is all about. Let's let the bird be a bird and do bird things.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, I have two last questions for Robin. The first one is, would you be willing to do this again? It was fun.
It was fun. I would love to do this again. We can definitely plan another one.
Awesome. But the second question I've got is, and this is something I love to ask people, and I think I've asked you this before, but it's one piece of advice you could give people on how to improve the communication or the relationship with their bird. What is that one that they could be doing?
I think it's just asking. There were some fantastic questions here, and that's what it's all about, is asking the questions. What does it look like when Max is relaxed like he is right now? Look at his fluff and chops covering his beak and his 1 foot up, and he's nice and comfy. And people were asking, what like when that happens? Is it the same as this? I love the asking questions. I think that's absolutely fantastic. If we can keep that learning mentality for the entirety of our bird keeping lives, everyone's going to benefit.
That is so awesome. Folks, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. We had a lot of fun. I've learned some stuff, and I've had birds for, if I count the lovebirds, I mean, I've had birds for 33 years now of my life. I had to add that up. That's a scary big number, but I'm always learning stuff. So I'm going to share out a bunch of links after the fact, including that wonderful free reference course that Robin mentioned. So keep an eye on.
Do your research. Yes.
If you're in YouTube, I'm going to share that one out in our community tab. If you're in Facebook, I'm going to get Robin shared on her Parrot SOS page, and then I'm going to reshare that into my stream so that you've got not only the link to her Facebook page, but also to the course. And honestly, please follow Robin. She's a wonderfully smart lady. We've been fortunate, to hang out with her a number of times. We're definitely going to have her on again. You're going to see her at events. I hear you have a Parrot Palooza, Robin.
We're going to be at Parrot Palooza. Absolutely. Here, I'll do my little events spiel. So we're going to be at Parrot Palooza, which is
there too. We got ours
in Calgary. We also have a few other fun events coming up. I just posted them today. So we have a Step Up Masterclass that is happening on August 5th. We're going to be going through those 5 parts of Step Up in detail. So join us for the masterclass. It is available on our events page on parrotsos.com. I'd love to go through Step Up right to the nitty gritty details so that we can do step ups really well, but also step ups from really tall places, or step ups to strangers, or step ups from the cage or the crate. And we can take just the general behavior of step up and expand it into all of these places. So the master class on Step Up is on the website now.
Ooh.
Also, I know, I'm so excited for the master class. We're also going to Vancouver in September.
Wow.
Just announced a live 3-hour courses at Feathered Addictions at their grand reopening in September.
Oh,
So-
that is so awesome.
So excited. Yeah, if you're in Vancouver, it's going to be in the Port Coquitlam area. More details are on the events page on parrotsos.com. We're going to be doing 3 one-hour classes. You can join for 1, 2, or all 3. Any of the profits are going directly to Greyhaven and the Nest. So we are making this a community day with 3 classes. Seating is limited. Each class will fill up. So if you want your spot, keep an eye out. We're going to be posting more details shortly. So there is your teaser. That's going to be happening September 2nd and September 3rd. So I'll be out in Vancouver with Feathered Addictions.
That is so awesome. And certainly that Greyhaven does some wonderful, wonderful work. And they've got Night Owl Bird Hospital out there, the best vets. Like Vancouver is actually a little bit of a center in Canada.
It's amazing, and the community is wonderful. So I'm really, really excited to go out and see more bird people out there.
Absolutely. And Sharon just shared out the Parrot SOS on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. She shared out our website as well. But yeah, we're actually going to be designing a resources page on our website. Our website's fairly new, but we're going to have links to some resources such as some of the rescues that we really like and that we support, because we don't just support rescues in Canada. We know some like Magnolia and the Oasis in the States that are really, really reputable. Of course, we love Mika's, we love Greyhaven, and a number of others that we support, so we're going to put those on. We're going to put resources like some of Robin's really key videos on what you need to know. And we need you to tell us what else you want to see, but we're going to try and build that up to be a good resource. One thing to remember, if you are dealing with parrot rescues and you're donating, make sure you know what you're donating to. There's some that are just hoarder situations. So anytime I recommend a rescue, Robin recommends a rescue, or even Einstein, our friend Einstein in the States recommends, you know that it's one of those really legitimate ones. But we want to build that a little bit. Yeah, Carrie mentions Wings of Love. Absolutely wonderful rescue. Einstein knows them well. Cheryl says Greyhaven's where her babies are from. It's such an important role. They really, really do. So I'm going to be building that one up as well. So that'll help find resources like Robin, resources such as, where do we get our harnesses and whatnot, and that's Aviator. I think, Robin, we talked about Aviator at one of the parrot events in town not that long ago, and you were making a video on how to wear harnesses and how to harness train.
We have a full course on harnessing and outdoor safety, and we are just in the final details of finishing up a new video specifically for the Aviator harness and how to start harness training. So look for that coming out shortly.
So awesome, and that's certainly what Max wears all the time too. And yeah, so I had a lot of fun today. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If this was valuable, share it out. Like, let's get some of the word out. Let's expose some people to some new facts about birds, some of the tips, some of the tricks. I think this was so fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Robin, today. Let's if you're in the comments in the chat, send up some thumbs up, send up some hearts for Robin. Let's give her some applause.
Yay! This was so much fun. Thank you, Max, for having me. Thank you, Nicole. We had a blast with all the questions, and we will definitely be back.
Yeah, so awesome. Thank you. I think Karen says it for everybody. This is so phenomenal. Thank you again. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, there's Angel Wings.
There's Angel Wings. Stretch.
Max, of course, has to act up now that we're cheering. Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Good job, Max.
And you know what? I'm seeing that he's saying that he wants to go do something now. So Max, let's see if you want to step up now. Honey, you want to go?
Step up.
Do you want steps? No, you don't scratch. Okay. He suckered me. He suckered me.
Good job, Max.
Awesome, everybody. Buck back.
Bye.